I think I'm starting. Yes. Hello and welcome to the season 9 round table. I have a little spiel. If y'all don't want to listen to it, just skip it. It's just basically over the twists for the season. Obviously, the season is Sin City, so why not put a little gambling into the game? So for every challenge, no matter if it's the high roller or the gambling games challenge, the winner or winners will get a poker chip. The winner of the high roller challenge, with that poker chip or any other poker chips they have, they could only use one though, may bet on a team to win the challenge. If that team wins the challenge, they will double their coin, so they'll get 2 coins that round instead of 1. Those coins could be used to buy powers, but they obviously won't know what the powers are. It'll just be little briefcases with numbers. So, yeah. And then those poker chips could be used in a few different ways other than just buying powers. There's a comp where it could be used for information, and that's really it. We're just telling them that there's a few different ways, so hopefully they don't try to use them all at the beginning. You could transfer tokens to each other, and when you're voted out, you give them away, kind of like fire tokens, and they don't really expire. I mean, eventually there's just no more powers, or it's too late. And then the second twist, we really liked a lot in another game, the whole gambling. People could gamble their vote for one round, or bank it and use it for another round. So let's say that everyone here went to the first elimination, and everyone but AJ banked their vote. AJ has the sole vote this round.
Oh.
But all those people have a second vote that they could use another round. You can only bank your vote once, so you only technically get 1 extra vote at another time throughout the game.
Okay.
So they could use them whenever. And those are the 2 kind of twists that we have, I think. Yeah. Oh! Other thing, there's no idols this game. They're all 50-50 coins. So to make it even more crazy. But yeah, that's all I have.
We're in Vegas. Take it away. Yeah, we're in Vegas. So let's just start with the twist real quick. What are you guys, as alumni and past players, what are you guys thinking about this? Like, as past players and the hell that you guys have gone through, how do you think that this is going to shake up the game for Ascendants? Especially knowing that there's no secure idols. Like, I think that's the biggest shock of it all. Anyone? Everyone is so shocked.
Want to start?
Everyone is so shocked. Papa,
I love hunting for idols. I would hate that. Like, I guess last season I apparently needed my idol to make it past the fucking merge or to there. So, yeah, that's tricky. I mean, sure, I like it. I like a seasonal theme. That's fun. As a viewer, as a player, they'll work with it. I don't know. Yeah.
And I think the banking the votes, because like I forget did we say how long they last, Papa? Like how long can they be held on to?
Final 6.
Final 6. Yeah, I think that also is like can really be interesting, especially when it gets close to some of those split votes or the possible rock draws and such. We've seen how crazy some of these people could be. Like one vote can make the difference of not, of sending someone home or not.
I love that twist with the gambling. I think that's so cool that you can bank your vote. I think it's awesome. I do think I think it's good that you can only do it once, because I think it would definitely encourage people to like play pretty scared and not people who want to play in the middle and be cool with everybody would definitely encourage them to like not vote. Although that would be so funny and messy if like 4 people were voting every round. That would be hilarious. But I think that'll be cool. It'll be interesting to see if people like plan to use that together in a group, if they strategize that way, or if it's more of an individual thing. I'll definitely be interested to see that. Love that idols are only 50-50 coins. That's hilarious. I love that. I kind of missed the beginning, but it sounds basically like fire tokens. Like you can earn like coins throughout the game.
Essentially, and they could be used for, I think, if I remember correctly, purchasing powers and advantages and things like that. Papa can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so I'll just.
How do you earn them? I'm sorry, I know you said this.
What?
How do you earn them?
Just winning challenges, either individual or team. So there's gonna be like a shit ton of coins in the game. So there could potentially be a shit ton of powers. They don't know the names of the powers though. It's just numbers of like briefcases basically. And it's just five tokens for a power. We wrote it down. I think it's like max maybe 13 powers, which is about normal for a season.
Well, that is an incentive for people to actually try to win captain and get some blood on their hands. I think that's awesome.
I didn't even think about that because I think a lot of times in Ascendance, like a lot of people haven't seen it, play it safe early, so it could incentivize people to actually make a risk and maybe go for that captain early and try to get those coins.
Fuck, I forgot about something else too. Sorry.
Plot twist.
Risks. So we all know Ascendance does a vote the first round. Yes. This season they're still gonna do a vote, but that person is not safe. The teams will be randomized the first round, and the person that was voted for has to pick the team that is going to win the challenge. If they pick incorrectly, they are not safe and go to elimination. But if they pick correctly, they're safe and they're just good for the round. So it brings a little twist into the first round that no one will be expecting.
No one will expect that at all. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's tea. I love that.
Especially for those people, Lana, who would be stalking on the wiki and like looking at all the past history and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna know what production's gonna do. I know what they're gonna do," but you don't.
Oh, I stalked.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing about the twist, we're gonna move on to the cast. The cast, we've all talked about it. They're crazy. They're cracked. This is gonna be probably one of the crazier seasons. If it lives up to the hype. We're just going to go through the cast, give our thoughts if we know about them, talk about their game, predictions, things like that. I'm going to go in order as they were released to us, just because that's how I'd have it on my screen here. So we're just going to start off with Andrew S. from Toronto. He described himself also, what I thought was really cool for the most part, each of these cast, they almost all, except for two people, picked a different word to describe themselves. So I thought that was really unique and what makes this cast also really special. But Andrew, he describes himself as a clusterfuck. He likes to ally with women, which we love. He's played live games, which I think is a unique take. Not everyone has that experience. Strategic. He says that he could be too loyal, which could be his downfall. He's not going to work with people he don't like. He could be emotional and bitter. He says he tends to be a planner, which for Ascendance, it could be kind of hard to plan for things. So what are we feeling about Andrew S? I think he could be interesting, but what do you guys think?
Oh my God, I've met Andrew S. Not in person, but I interviewed him for my game, and he's absolutely unhinged. He's unhinged, this man. I think he's so funny. He told me this wild story about what happened to him in his last org. I don't know if he told you guys the same story, but he like kind of like fell in love with somebody in the org and they like betrayed him super hard, and he was telling me this wild story and I was like crying and laughing. I was like, I'm so sorry this happened to you. So I think that he could be a huge source of drama this season, which we love. That's all I've got.
Anyone else on good old Andrew here?
I feel like he'll be from like I kind of know him. I know he's played a game called Padlock before and he didn't do too well in that. But from what I remember, like just being in the viewers lounge, he was kind of like entertaining. So like I feel like he'll bring entertainment. Will like he last long? I don't know. But I'm rooting for him. I think he'll be a fun person in the game.
I think like all of these people are people that I'm like, will they last long? So it's really to see.
That's a good point.
Okay, sorry. That's low-key what I was gonna say, because a lot of these people are very chaotic, and I was watching their interviews and like listening to like their strategy and like how they want to play the game. A lot of these people, they're like, oh, well, I don't go very far, and I'm like, so what are you gonna do to change that? You know what I mean? Because it's like you've played so many games, but like, are you just gonna like stick to the same way? Because there's a lot of people in this cast that are very, very like chaotic and like drama driven. So I think there's definitely going to be a lot of drama this season, and especially like with the twist and stuff. I think like that's going to play a different role. With Andrew specifically, I thought it was definitely weird when he was like, "I'm gonna only align with women." I was like, "Why? Okay."
Because he's heartbroken internet. That's why.
Fair. But like, he was like, I think he like kind of like hinted at the fact that he's like looking for love like in the game, which is like not what I would do, but like okay, go off, I guess.
Yeah, I think my prediction. I think Andrew is one of those people that's going to go early jury. He's one of those people you wouldn't expect to make it that far, but somehow he's going to have enough charisma that's going to get him to that early jury spot. But then eventually there's going to be somebody he steps on the wrong toe and then he's going to get out or something, or he's going to do something completely stupid. Like, but I think he does have that just enough charisma just to get him to that early jury phase. Any other final thoughts on our good old buddy pal Andrew from Toronto?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I like missed what y'all said.
Yeah, go for it.
Cut up, but yeah, I don't know. Once again, I think someone just said this, but like it's hard because this is someone who I see going early normally, but with this cast, you never know. I do think the fact that he was like, I play a very loyal game. I you know, if I don't like you, you're gonna know it. That normally is not gonna bode well in Ascendance, where if someone has a vendetta against you and they win captain, like they're just gonna fuck you over. But this game sounds like so much chaos that like, who the fuck knows? I don't know. It's gonna be fun. And either way, I think he's gonna bring some fun energy to the season. So I'm excited to see him play. But did not. I was like, he was not on my short list for drafting a team. So I think like possibly pre-merge, maybe early jury. He could surprise me. That's gonna probably be a trend of what I say a lot. But yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be like right on that cusp. I feel like it's gonna be just depends on what happens with this cast. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we're gonna move on to good old Caleb J from Illinois. He used his word to describe himself as crafty. He's relatively new to orgs. He's not afraid to be the villain. Strategic. He says that his weakness is his social game, which in Ascendance that could be very devastating. He has a balanced take for how he would vote for a jury. And then he describes himself as a planner, which a lot of these people say that they plan, which Ascendance is the wrong game if you're a planner. So Caleb, what are our thoughts on Caleb from Illinois?
I like how you just described him. Like, I like the villain. Like, a villain, but like, you said like he's not too social. Like, what? like I don't know. Like I want to see how like he can be a villain, but like at the same time not be social. like I feel like you kind of need to talk to people and like have those bonds to, you know, be the villain and like make those crazy, fun, dramatic moves. But like I love a villain. Like that's like that's what I love. So I mean, interesting. I don't know. I don't really know much about him, but he seems pretty cool.
He's new, so I think that's gonna be. I think it's a lot of these
I
players
like that,
are new. They're either new or they're not familiar or are coming back. There's very like I personally know next to no one on this cast, so
yeah,
I think that's a good thing. I like
that though. Yeah.
I like it too. It's always interesting to see what newbies will do. Yeah, I want to know what his weakness being his social game means. Like, does he think that he's awkward, or does he like not talk to people a lot, or does he think that he like is a villain? I don't know, because like Duke kind of does the like low effort social game thing, but does it really well. You know what I mean? And then like there are people that just like are inactive and they know they're inactive and then they don't do anything about it and they go home. So is that what he means? Or like, yeah, I don't know. So I'm just curious.
Don't recall if he specified in his interview or not. my note just says that he says that his weakness was being social. So that could probably mean many things. And being the fact that he says that he's, not afraid to be the villain. It could be, it could be even the fact that he's just, it's not even the fact of not being social, but it's the fact that his social game is so bad that he's a villain, whether he's pissing people off, whether he's flipping on allies, things like that. It could be.
I hope it's that. That sounds fun.
We love a good flip, especially when
I
we're
was
not
like,
involved.
True. I was confused by like his intro video because he was like, I'm very much an introvert, like I'm not like good at social game, but he said he was like willing to do like whatever it takes to get to the end. So I'm kind of like curious to see what that entails, and I don't know, again, with him being an introvert, I feel like that might not be the best for him, especially with this cast, because there's a lot of big like strong personalities.
Definitely, I agree.
I kind of question if Ascendance is like a good org for someone's first time. Like for me, it was my second org, and I think having a little bit of understanding of how much time needs to go into an org was helpful to have that understanding. And I think you could thrive as a first timer if you're a social player, because this is the org that needs to be social. So someone who's it's a first time, yeah. So Lana is super social. Like, how do you not like Lana? Not just kissing your ass because you're here, but if someone says I'm not a social player. And then this is their first org. Like that just either spells like you're going to go out first or you're not going to gain footing and people might just bring you along and maybe you make it further. But it's hard to see Caleb's like winning story as a first time player who says they're not social in a game like Ascendance. In a game where you're in smaller tribes and like everyone has to get to know each other, maybe, but you can easily get lost in the shuffle here. So I'm worried for him, but I do think he seems like willing to put in the time at least to like. And I feel like he's going to go in being like wanting to prove to himself that he can do this. So excited for him, but I am worried. I don't know.
He is. I'd say I have it right here. He's 20.
Does he have a job?
I don't have that written down.
Full disclosure, I did not watch the videos.
It's okay. You're here. We love it. I think he's going to. I do think he's unfortunately going to be a early pre-jury boot. But I don't necessarily think maybe first boot. As long as he puts in that time and energy, I think he's going to last a few, and he could surprise us. I think that's what this cast is. It's so unpredictable. Like anything could happen with this cast, and with a flip of a coin, you really don't know.
I agree.
Truly, flip of a coin.
Yep.
All right.
Vitals.
Moving on from Caleb, if there's nothing else for Caleb, we have Warren from Indiana. So to describe Warren a little bit for us, he used his word to describe himself as bold, which was one of the repeat words. He says that he speaks his mind. His ideal ally is someone with a bigger personality. And I really didn't write down ideal ally for a lot of these people because a lot of these people said they want someone who they could trust, which obviously you want an ally who you could trust. But he wants someone who's a bigger personality, which I think is really interesting. His strength is social. And he says he bonds by talking smack, which causes drama, which leads to his elimination. He doesn't vote for passive players to win, and he's also a planner, like many of these people. So, Warren, y'all.
Good luck.
He is a mess.
I don't know him, so people, I think people do know him, so they should start maybe.
I mean, I guess I'll go. I think I'm echoing. Am I echoing? Echo. No, okay, not anymore. Okay. He is a mess. I've played with him before. He like I don't know, like I don't hate him, but he can be messy in games. Like if you get on his bad side, it might not be too pretty. I mean, like he can be funny though too. Like I don't know how he'll be in this game. If I'm correct, I think him and another person in the game really don't like each other, if I'm correct. I could be wrong, but that would be spicy. And I love spicy. So if that's true, then him and Tylor, which we'll talk about him later, but If I'm correct, I don't think that they like each other.
We're here to spill the tea. All right.
I could be wrong.
Okay.
I think in a game where there's 19 people talking to each other all the time, if your hobby and like you just have a propensity to talk shit about others, like stuff leaks in Ascendance. Like there's so many open communication lines. And if I heard someone's talking shit about me, they go up on my shit list. And I don't know. Like, I don't know Warren. I've seen him comment on things. I think he's really involved in the org community. I think maybe he followed along with Ascendance because maybe I've seen him in posts on our page. So he might have some like gut instinct that can help him. But I think if he needs to really turn off the like, let me just freely talk shit. I will say there were a few people who said, if I don't like you, you're going to know it. And I think I'm going to wish for this time and it's not like this drama hateful group where people like go at each other personally, and let's just hope it stays game because it sounds like a lot of people are really gonna maybe go at each other's throats a little bit. So hey, I'm gonna be chilling on the VL, just watching along. Let me just say that.
We'll be popping popcorn.
Oh yeah.
Hey, we love being on the sidelines. I think his name Warren. I see for a lot of these people, I wrote down that like I feel like I'd be friends with them in real life, but in a game I would like not work with them at all. He's one of those big personalities that I mentioned earlier. He's like one of the first ones that was revealed, and I think like he's one of those people that you either really like him or you really hate him. I don't think there's really an in between, and I got that just from his interview. I think he's definitely gonna play. If he's played Messi in the past, I assume he's gonna play Messi now, especially because he's one of those people that's also like willing to speak his mind and tell you the way that it is, like straightforward. And like I appreciate those kinds of players because like I know personally I don't think I could be that kind of player. So I appreciate like those kinds of players, even if they are a little messy, because then it also like I feel like he can be a big target, but again, there's so many other like chaotic people that it's like, will he be a big target, or is he just like one of the normal people compared to everybody else?
Yeah. I think Warren gives, when I watched Warren's interview, it gave me vibes of a player of season 6 that shall not be named, that caused a lot of drama and blew up.
Not Jasmine.
Jasmine.
The queen.
You said shall not be named and named.
It just, I feel like Warren is probably a really nice person, but I just feel like it's just a ticket time bomb. It's there's gonna be a vote, and there's gonna be literally an 11:30 p.m. night call, and it's gonna hit the fan, and all the alliances are gonna break up. There's gonna be fighting. There's gonna be tears, and Warren's gonna be at the head of it. That's the vibe I get. But I feel like people like Warren, and from what I've seen in Ascendance, especially with like what happened with Jasmine, they stay in the game longer than they should. And I could see that happening for Warren, where he ends up, I could see he ends up in a late pre-jury spot just because, you know, he gets involved in a vote. He gets used as a number. And people are like, oh, there's bigger fish to fry. There's bigger fish to fry. And then all of a sudden, then Warren's going to blow up and, you know, sink his ship. But I think he fits that mold perfectly. I could be wrong, but that's the vibe I got when I watched his interview.
I mean, if he's anything like her, then yeah, it was like it was helpful having someone that like people didn't really take seriously around, you know what I mean? Like if whether that's strategy or not. Just because, yeah, like you said, they can be used as a vote. And if they're hated, that people are kind of more inclined to keep them. Be like, well, we can always get rid of them next. And then they just never go. They become a valuable number. Until they rage quit.
Or they walk from the game. What of that?
Until they just rage quit.
Ascendance. It needs a mental health warning.
So I just hosted Warren in Battlegrounds, and I didn't know what to expect when he came in, but he far exceeded, you know, any expectations I had. I loved hosting him. I thought he brought a good mix of drama, but he surprised me strategically as well. So I'm excited to see if he can do that here.
Ooh, love that. Yeah, I think Warren's definitely one of those people who it's gonna be really interesting to watch his story unfold. and see what happens with it. A lot of potential there. Moving on to Tawni from Texas. She used her word to describe herself as ditzy, which I thought was one of the most unique words I've seen. She speaks her mind regardless of the situation. She says her ideal ally is a physical player or someone who isn't the most likable player. She says she's went to Rock for the same player. However, she is willing to backstab at any cost. I think the really important thing was like the fact she went to Rocks twice for a person, because Rocks is scary as hell, and going twice for the same person. She said her downfall is that she talks a lot, and how people are treated is important when she's voting for the winner and how they got there. So Tawni, yo.
Hey, Dulcie went to Rocks twice for Alex,
She did.
and she won.
She did.
That's all I'm gonna say about that. Go Tawni.
Yeah, I'm excited for Tawni. One thing she said that was a little, like, gave me a little bit of a tickle, that I'm a little worried for her now. We're hearing about all this, like, banking votes and, like, 50-50 coins, and she says she gets in her own head a lot, which, like, relatable. But, like, I feel like this season's setting up some paranoia of, like, gambling and, like, who knows what's going to happen. And I think she said she's can act on emotion and not always think the logical move, which I do think her social game can save her in some ways. But if you are going to make snap decisions like that, people might let you go. So I don't know. I see her making at least probably the jury phase, but I don't know. It's tough to say with her. Once again, I don't really know pretty much anyone in this cast, so this is just based on her quick interview.
Yeah, I think she has a lot going for her. But I think luck and sometimes, and then the sporadicness mixed with luck, it could just kind of sink a really good sailing ship. And if it's heading for a really good path, I think Tawni is someone who's going to make that early jury phase. But then with all of the chance in this game, like there's a lot of luck in this season. And with how her mindset is, it could backfire for her.
Yeah. I could see her going really far or getting like screwed in like a team. Like I could see her, like, if the game gets divided, like she would be like the person on the other team, like who they just vote out because like she's connected with people on the other team. Like I could see her getting screwed over, either getting screwed over because of that or making it really far. I think she's going to be a social player, and I think that like I would want to work with her. Like just from like the like seeing her, I think I would want to work with her. But I think I can see her going far.
Yeah, I definitely noticed in her interview, as well as a few others, which surprised me. A lot of people identified as introverts, but also identified their social game being the strongest, like, portion out of, like, what was it, social, strategic, or physical. So I found that really interesting, and it wasn't just her who said that, but it was also a lot of other people. So that's why I'm also, like, intrigued to see the dynamic of this season, especially because, like, she seemed like a very, like, outgoing person in her interview, and she seems like somebody that I would, like, get along with in, like, real life. Again, like Scott said, like, she does get in her head a lot, which, same. But when she gets in her head and it turns out in a negative way, she said she can be, like, a little more, like, vocal, and sometimes that's her downfall. So if there is a lot of drama, which I'm expecting there will be with this cast and all the twists, I think if she can handle herself well, I think she can go far. But if she gets too involved in the drama, too much into her head and too much with her emotions, then she's probably going to sink really fast. But if she can pull it off, I think she has a real shot of going fairly far.
Definitely. Anybody else have anything to add for Tawni? Yep, I think Tawni, like all these people, they all have so much, like there's so much potential with this cast. Like it's so much potential for drama, chaos, train wrecks. It's all there. Moving on to Jack, which I think is really one of my favorites from watching some of these interviews. For some reason, his interview just really captivated me. He used his word to describe himself as punny. He said that he's analytical, fairly new to orgs, Again, another person who said that his strength was social. He says that his downfall is he's not adaptable enough, which is a yikes for Ascendants. And then he says the winner needs to be the representative of the season. And again, another planner. So any comments on Jack?
I can start. So I actually also really, really liked Jack's interview. After like watching them in order, I think his was the first one that I was like, oh, maybe he can like go far, because his personality, I feel like, because he is a social player, but his social strategy seems different than a lot of other like bigger personalities. I think that could work in his advantage, also because like he uses his social to his strategic advantage as well. Although I think he said he's also like very, very strong in the strategic aspect, and he's a very like practical player. So I think his strategy and like social ability could work for him in this game, with like, again, with like this kind of cast, but also because I'm a little concerned about like him not being adaptable, because like that's literally what Ascendance is about. So if he was able to recognize that that was his like weakness or downfall. So I think that's a good point to bring up, because people who can recognize what their downfalls are normally like to work on them. So I'm hoping that because he recognizes that, that's something he can try and fix in this game, because I think with all the other skills he has, I think he can go far.
Yeah, sure. So I see why you say you liked his interview a lot, because there was so much enthusiasm, and when he talked about the game, there were so many things that just like clicked about his philosophy on the game. And like you mentioned his answer about someone who should represent the season, like yeah, totally, that makes sense. I wrote some like notes as I shared on the VL, and what I wrote is I think he lacks finesse, and like finesse is something who's necessary to win the game. So like him saying, I think he's the first person who said like I'm generally smarter than everyone else. Like if that's your philosophy going in, like you might underestimate people, because there might be people who maybe aren't like, I think he's like a programmer, or maybe he might come from a more like formal like education, or maybe he's gotten good GPAs. But that doesn't mean someone doesn't have like good savviness, or like just perception and street smarts. So like I feel like he might underestimate people and come across as a little bit arrogant. So I think he needs to balance that. Once again, this is just from a quick interview, but I'm a little worried when people kind of say that's like, I don't know, it's just a red flag for me. I think you need to be very self-aware and humble to win the game as well. So yeah, I think he might lack the finesse to actually make it far, and that could cost him very early on if he ends up pissing someone off.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like just like the first impression when I like saw him, I kind of got like smart guy vibes. But at the same time, I feel like if someone else thought that, then they would like be like, maybe I want to get him out, you know? Like, just, I mean, first impressions matter. And that's just why I'm saying that. Like, I think that that could be bad. And like, with what Scott was saying, like him thinking that he is like a smarter person than others could be bad. Because I definitely don't think that just like a GPA means anything in an org. Like that doesn't mean anything. But I don't know. I don't know how I can see him doing. Like very up in the air.
Jack, for me, I don't know what it is. There's just something about his personality. I on my prediction on my list, I haven't put it on the board yet, but I have him going late jury. I think that even though he says he's not adaptable, I think there's something about his personality that I think a lot of people are going to get drawn to. And even though he does have that look of being that smart, book smart person, there was someone, I forget on the top of my head, that said that that was someone that they would want to bring in, is someone who was that nerdy person. I just, there's something about he obviously would have to, like, it would be one of those journeys for him though, where he would grow. Like it'd be a very rough start, but he would like soar, but then just be cut just short, just right at the end there. But there's just something about Jack that his personality is it's just, if the cast feels the same way though, that's, you know, we can all say all these great things, but if the cast doesn't, then you're first or second boot. Any other comments on Jack? Anyone else? Okay. Moving on to Matthew from Ontario. He used a hyphenated word, which was also occurrence. He said low maintenance, which I thought was perfect. He says that he's perceptive on where he stands in the game. Again, describes his game, his strength as social. He says his biggest downfall is end game management, which almost every orger knows that feeling. Knows he has to manage his threat level. He said he will vote loyal a lot of the times when he's voting for a winner, but would rather vote for social or strategic over physical. And he said he's also a planner. So any thoughts, comments, T, about Matthew from Ontario?
Okay, my reaction to him is I watched all these interviews in one go, and my head was fucking spinning at this point because I'm like, y'all are a mess. Like, ooh. I got to Matthew. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. You just leveled me. You grounded me. You brought me back down to fucking earth. He is so, he just has a great, like, I don't know. He's someone who I would both flirt with because he's very attractive and vibe with on a very, on a vibe with on a strategic level. So he'd be my partner in this game. I drafted him for my team. I just like, I'm all aboard the Matthew train. I just think everything he said was perceptive, like witty, like I don't know. He had a very good approach to this game. So I'm looking forward to him. I hope he doesn't get lost in the sauce because like his personality. Okay, his personality, his picture, amazing because that was fierce. But his personality in the interview was very like calmness, and everyone else gave me like energy. So excited to see how he goes, and I'm really rooting for him for a lot of reasons. Clearly, as a viewer. But,
Oh my God, I want to watch his video now.
Oh, you got to.
It's
You
a
have
good
to.
video.
watch them all because
I mean,
watch everyone else first, then watch him. He'll appreciate it.
Yeah, save the best for us.
I was already ready to watch his video because of his outfit. He looks amazing.
Right?
Yeah. I know he played Perception, so he seems cool. I'm rooting for him. Well, that's all.
Yeah,
Yeah. You go.
Okay. I put Matthew on my draft as well. I think the first thing I commented in my reviews, like reviews on the reveals or whatever, is that I loved his like photo. Like I was like, that's great. I like listening to his interview and like watching his personality. I was like, okay, he's a very, very social player, but again, he's not like social and a like strong personality like some of the other super social players, and I think that will benefit him because he's not over the top, but he has that social like strategy to get him through. Like Scott said, I think that I would work really well with someone like him, which is also why I know we didn't talk about Alex yet, but I know Alex personally, and I think Matthew might be somebody that he can work with as well because just personality wise and just being a strong like social player but not being like over the top like chaotic, I think that's going to work really well, especially when all of the other chaotic people on this cast might be a lot bigger targets than him. He might fly under the radar while still playing a really, really strong game.
Yeah. I was just gonna say like I've seen him play like Sequester, and I've seen him do pretty well in a couple of like minis. I know that doesn't really mean anything. Like you played a game and you can go far, and that you could be first boot in another one, but he does have like a little bit of experience, and I feel like that does help. Like especially if it's someone's like first game, like that could help. Like I don't know how I can see him do it. Like I feel like I'm saying that with everyone now, which I definitely am. I feel like he'll go far. Like I think he will be likable, and that's a good thing.
Definitely. I was just blown away by like his demeanor, the way he was able to communicate, he knows his flaws, he knows what his strengths are, he knew what he needed to do. And just I have him, like I drafted him as well. I always pick 3 people who I think are my contenders, or the people I try to draft, and he's one of my contenders. I think he is by far, I think, one of the biggest shots to win this game. With that, comes the whole be careful at 3rd or 4th place though. But I think he definitely has and one of the biggest shots right now, pre-season, going into the game. That if he could really get his footing, make those relationships, he's aware of what his downfall and why he hasn't made it to the end, and what he needs to do. He could find himself sitting in the finale, and with a good enough speech and a good enough game, that's enough to win Ascendance. And I think he's really is going to be one of the biggest threats in this game. And I think what's going for him is that I don't think people are going to realize that he is the biggest threat in this game. Any final words on King Matthew?
I'll go off a little bit of what you said, but yeah, because he's definitely going to be a big threat in this game, but because there's so many like other like big personalities, I think he is going to be able to go further than you may think, because people will see him as a threat, but there's probably going to be so much other stuff going on that people are like, oh, we can get him out later, and then just it'll never happen. So that's also like why I drafted him, because just looking at the cast overall, I think he can do really well, and I'm a big fan, even though I don't know him.
Okay. We will be moving on to Kendyl from Utah. I can never say it correctly. Forgive me. She used her word to describe herself as extravagant. She says that she wants an ally that is good in comps and is kind, which I think was interesting because, again, most people just say trustworthy, but she was very keen to point out kind. Again, another person who says a social strength is that she says her downfall is that people don't understand her or they get annoyed of her. She votes for someone who owns their games and gives credit where credit is due. She's one of the few that says that she's a last minute decision maker, which in Ascendance could be very key and very important in not planning ahead. So thoughts on Kendyl from Utah?
I'll go first just because I'm going to have to go for like 10 minutes. So I love Kendyl. She's played my game. She's played a lot of orgs. But one thing I know about her is that she, like, I hate to say it, she's a flop in games. Like, I always see her do bad. She got first boot in my game, and I know she's gotten first boot in a lot of other games. But, like, I love her personality. I hope she can go far in this game, and I think she can. I think her biggest downfall sometimes from like what I've seen in her in other games and like playing with her and hosting her is that sometimes she's not the most social early on. Like she'll like when there's the night one call, like she'll get on that, but then like she doesn't really branch out further than that until she kind of needs to. And I really, really, really hope she does well. I am like a big Kendyl fan. Like she's really funny, and I think if she can get on calls with people and like get to know people, she will go far. But if she doesn't, then she's gonna be one of the first couple boots, and I really hope not.
Definitely bouncing off that, I think she has some really good. She has a lot of good personality. Like very charming. I loved it. Definitely like someone that I could see myself working with. So the fact that she says that it could come off misunderstood is kind of interesting to me because I don't know. She felt very like personable. So I was very kind of shocked by that. But just going off of her interview, I do think that she could be an early boot. I have her going as a early pre-jury. It's just going to really depend if she can make those connections, which is obviously key for all of these players. But I think specifically for her, because there seems to be that there's going to be a lot of activity. And if activity is a weakness for her and rubbing people off the wrong way, then that's a simple ticket out early in Ascendance.
Yeah, I think especially with Ascendance being a very, very like socially driven game, I think like the very first like day, even like the first few hours are so essential for like making a good impression on people. Like I know for me, I do the most I can, especially in those first few hours, because like I know like that's the most important, and that's when, because if you reach out to people, like people are gonna realize that, and they're gonna be like, oh, this person wants to work with me, like let me like grab onto that as fast as I can, sort of thing. So I think if she can put in the work and be a more social person, if that is her downfall in other games, I think if she's able to uphold like strong relationships and be a likable person, then I think she can do fairly well. But with this cast, it is very up in the air, so I'm not really sure where I would place her right now.
Definitely.
I'll I guess add in what I've kind of done write-ups I posted, but so yeah, I've done 2 orgs, but I've joined a lot of pages, and I swear to you, every single Kendyl's someone who's played, so she has a lot of org experience. Like I feel like I'm assuming because of that she'll know some people going into this, and I wonder if it's going to help her. I was worried hearing her interview, especially hearing that she's gone early a lot, when she said that the reason why her downfall is people are jealous of me, or people misunderstand me, or it's like how people perceive her, but it's not like what I do. Other people are saying like I'm too trusting, I'm too this, but for her it was like people see me in this way. So I feel like if the reason why she goes home is always because of other people perceiving her, she's not changing and adapting, which I think could be a downfall, because I think you need to be constantly reflecting, changing, like being super perceptive of how people see you in this game. So I'm a little worried for her. But she seems super sweet, like, so rooting for her, but I guess just a little apprehensive about her chances, like, in going far.
So I've played and hosted with Kendyl. I've actually voted her out first. But I think that her read on people not understanding her is very valid. Because she is such a big personality all the time, because I think she just like really gets into these games, and she gets super excited the first night, and then as the night goes on it kind of dies down, and you can kind of tell that it's dying down, but on a first night she comes off very strong, and a lot of people get turned off by that, especially because she turns it off right after the first night. So it's like this big burst of energy and then nothing. And I'm hoping that she can do well, because she is a really sweet person, and she usually does get out really early. So it'd be nice to see her like thrive in this kind of game.
I agree. I will say the really fun thing about this cast is that they're all rootable. Like they all have so many likable traits that you could find in them, and that you could root for every single one of these people. There is a lot of potential for some really great storylines for some of these players. If there is nothing else for Kendyl, we will move on to Drew from Arizona. He used his word to describe himself as hilarious. He's fairly new to orgs. His ideal ally is someone to bounce ideas off of or balance. Again, another player who describes his strength as social. His downfall is being too open about powers and making too many promises. And it depends on how he becomes jury. He can be binner and how he votes for a winner. He's also a planner. So any comments or takeaways from Drew?
I think Drew is the other one who said, like, I'm smarter than the average player. So I'm like, okay, good luck. That being said, people are always a bit more like flamboyant and like extra in their inner. So I still got this like charming aspect of someone I would vibe with in a real game setting. I think he's probably has enough. He's been around the block enough and knows to tone it down in a game setting. It's kind of my instinct. So I still think he has a really good shot at this. What I did see him saying, I think he could be like the someone who gets information and doesn't know when to hold it tight versus when to give it. His propensity to give it to people, and I don't know, stuff leaks once again. In people, everyone can talk to each other. Things are always shifting. Stuff will leak. So I'm a little bit like hesitant for him, but I think he still has the makings to be a good player and maybe make a deep run.
Yeah, I think if he plays his cards right, he can go very far. I wrote down that I think I would vibe with him in person, like as like a friend, but I was like, I'm not sure. I put that I would vibe with him like in a game setting, but I'm honestly not sure, just because like I don't know, I'm very like apprehensive about a lot of these people. But I think with him, he said he's newer to orgs, which I like. I like people who are newer to orgs because I resonate with them because I'm newer to orgs, but also because like people are still developing like their gameplay and trying to figure out like what works for them and what doesn't. And I think like that's a very interesting thing to see and like see if it lines up with like what they say in interviews. And I think that's how like more experienced players differ from like the newer players, because more experienced players sometimes will have like more concise answers about like this is what I need to do, this is what I want to fix, whereas like the newer players are like this is where I think I'll go wrong. And honestly sometimes they're right, because that's, I mean, I've been right where I go wrong in games. So, and I've played 3 games, so like I have like a general idea of what's going on, but it's also like I'm still in that fairly like experimental stage of trying to figure out what works for me. And I think like getting to see newer players like figure that out is going to be a fun experience.
I agree. New players are always so fun to watch. I think Drew, what really concerned me the most is the whole being too open about powers. My philosophy in Ascendance, you don't tell anyone you have a power. That's my philosophy. It just, there could be a benefit of telling someone, but 9 out of 10 times it's gonna leak and it's gonna be told to the wrong person. And ultimately, at the end of the day, yeah, you have allies, but you are playing an individual game to win. And I know, again, powers can help allies and powers can be helpful for the team. But again, loose lips sink ships. So that is very concerning, especially in the game of Ascendance, when there's 1,000,001 powers, and then also where you have powers that have a chance of not working now, it could backfire very badly for him. Were you going to say something, Lana?
Unless, well, ally.
What was that?
I said, unless he can prove himself as a loyal ally by
True.
the people about his powers, and he gets into like a tight group.
Unless you're in a power alliance like season 6, where you have like a whole freaking army of people who are loyal and have 8 powers and use them all for each other.
That's iconic.
Very, like, the only time I've seen that. Like, y'all were crazy. But I think he could go. I think he goes late jury. I think he has a really positive, fun energy. Being a new player to orgs, I think is actually really beneficial to Ascendance, because I think a lot of us players who have played orgs a lot over the years, we get into that mindset and that rut of how things should be and how things are supposed to be and how it's gonna work. And Ascendance isn't like that. Ascendance breaks all the rules. Ascendance isn't Survivor. It's not Big Brother. And if you try to make it that, you're not gonna do well. You're not gonna succeed. And I think for new players, I think it can be very successful. It could also be very traumatic and stressful because of the demand. But I think if they could get into the rut, it can be very well. Any final words for Drew?
So yeah, I played Annihilation with Drew, and he got this power where if he played it, he would get immunity for the round, and then everyone else would vote. And the top 3 vote getters would go into like a duel against each other, and he was going to have his alliance split between 2 people in the minority, and then whichever one from his alliance went in, whatever. Well, that got leaked to everybody in the game, and he went home with it. So that was an experience with him. I'm kind of a little nervous because this is a game that has a lot of powers, and if he messes up like that, then there's definitely no coming back, especially with a cast like this one. So I'm kind of worried for him, honestly. I hope he does well, but I'm not too sure.
He gives me vibes of like Jordan from last season.
Can someone elaborate for someone who did not watch season 8?
I got a totally
You
different
played with
energy,
him more
but
than I
yeah.
did, so.
No. AJ, go though. I'm curious.
It was just gut instincts. I don't know, just from the way JG was kind of describing his gameplay. I don't know, it just reminded me of Jordan. I actually didn't watch his video, so I don't know his energy, but just that type of player kind of seemed like a Jordan player to me. Like Jordan could, like he got kind of close, and like I think had he survived 1 or 2 more rounds, like he might have had a shot at the end.
Okay, I can see that, and I think the key is going to be like it's going to be ultimately for Drew. It's going to be power management. If he gets a power, who does he tell the wrong person, or does he tell someone who betrays him? Because that can make or break your game in Ascendance. And I think that's going to be the key for him. Because I think he has the personality that's very likable. I think he has the maneuverability. Again, it's going to be those powers, those darn Ascendance powers. All right, moving on to Alexander from Florida. He used this word to describe himself as ambitious. He's able to connect with a variety of different players, he says. In regards to allies, he's always open depending on what people feels towards him, which I think is really crucial. He can mix between social and strategic, but strength is his social game. His downfall is that he's cocky and he rubs people the wrong way. And when voting for a winner, he looks for who was in the driver's seat in awareness and interpersonal relationships. So let's spill the tea on Alexander.
I can go first because he was my ride or die in my first org ever, and I forced him to apply. So,
We love that.
Basically everything in his interview is very accurate. I love that he's very, very self-aware about himself, even though he's only played a few games. I am very curious to see how he plays because he's very, very strong in solely Survivor games, but he just played a Big Brother game. He was pre-jury, so I'm curious to see how he will do with this dynamic. I'm not sure how he'll do with all of the chaotic people on this season. I think that I can see him working with someone like Matthew because they're a stronger like social player, but not like an over-the-top social player. In his interview, his ideal ally was basically me in my first game, because I was basically blindly loyal to him, and I total side note, should have voted him out but didn't, and I went home. So he's always looking for one of those people. He's always looking for one of those people that is very, very loyal to him. If he is a very, very loyal ally, like he knew I was going home and he didn't vote for me, like he was like, I'm not doing it. So like if he can make those allies and he can make those strong connections, which I know he can, I think he'll do well. I just think I want to see how he's able to adapt to like this sort of like environment of game.
Definitely. I think he's gonna just rub people the wrong way. I think he definitely has potential. And he has like all these players, they have so much potential. But looking at our cast and looking at what we got going on here, I think it's gonna just take one comment or one moment that's just gonna rub the person the wrong way, and that he could be that easy vote. Especially, I don't remember if he said he can win comps or not, but if he does, he can't. Okay,
he said no.
Because like that's always an easy target thing. I don't know. Just the way that he said that he could be cocky and he could rub people the wrong way. And knowing how this cast is very emotional driven, it's a very high emotional cast. And a lot of feelers. He has enough to get to. I think I said late pre-jury. But he's gonna just miss out on that jury spot.
Yeah, I'm very curious with this cast to see how he'll do, because he works better with like level-headed people that he can bounce ideas off of, which I was that person for him. So he can come off like cocky or arrogant, and I think like some of the earlier people we talked about, like saying that they're like the smartest player, like the best player. I feel like sometimes he can have that mentality and sometimes it doesn't work for him. So sometimes it does, but I feel like with this cast, it probably won't if he goes in with that attitude. So I'm hoping that he doesn't flop, just because I know his potential and I know how well he can do in games. So I am very like curious and intrigued to see his gameplay and his story, not just because I know him, but just because of like like how he plays and like how he described like how he plays in his interview.
Yeah, I definitely got like him or hold on, name Josh would be like the bro of the season. And what's funny when what he said was this is Alex. The names are all getting blended in. Yeah, Alex being like, "Hey, I actually don't usually get along with bros." I'm like, that is very good because Ascendance does not get a lot of bros. It's a lot of gay men, some women, and the occasional straight. But I would say like I could find his. The first thing I thought was like he would have done so well on Ascendance 8. I don't know if he's gonna do well on Ascendance 9. Like I don't know if he's gonna play well with this like more emotional snap decision group, and that's gonna be actually a trend for a few people. They see. I did think that maybe he could blend in this group better than he might be in another group, because other people might just make things super personal, and if he can kind of like lay back, he can maybe just observe, collect information, build bonds, and have that. But yeah, I don't know. I think he could make a deep run, but it was a bit more of a risk for me to be like, oh yeah, let me pick him on my team. So I didn't draft him, but I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the game. I think he has potential for that.
Yeah, he definitely is. I think one of the biggest wild cards, because I think he has it there to get to the end and win. But pending on the cast and who you're playing with, that can change everything. You could have all that you have to win the game, but if people don't like you, or you rub someone the wrong way, or everyone's out to get you, then you could be the best player. You could have won 100 orgs. You're out. It does not matter. Any other thoughts on Alex from Florida? Okay. Moving on to Kristofer from Georgia. He's one of those people also who picked a hyphenated word. And he explained it in one word, but he says he's that bitch or wild card. And he says that he get really invested in games. His ideal ally is fun, sassy, quick-witted. Again, another social player. His downfall is that he becomes too likable and is a social threat and taken out right at the end. And when voting for a winner, he tries to vote as objective as possible. He is one of the few that says he's a last-minute decision maker. What are we thinking about Kristofer, that bitch from Georgia?
I mean, no one's going, so I can go.
He is
go
ahead. And he's on the draft team. He's going to get far, I think. Is this? Oh, sorry. My internet's a little freezy wheezy. So sorry if I. Yeah, totally that bitch. When he did the this or that, it wasn't a this or that. It was let me take everything and give an insightful answer to everything. Let me eloquently explain my thought process and everything. He's charismatic, cerebral, thoughtful, and I see him going this game. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Sorry, I might be a little bit frozen. I'm gonna pass it to you, Antoinette.
Yeah, Kristofer is on my draft. I think I got a similar vibe from his interview that I got from Matthew's interview, and I really liked, I think, he's someone that I could also work with in a game, and I think that's why I resonated with him a little bit. Also because, again, I feel like he's someone that I could be friends with in a game and outside of a game. And I think, if he's able to, what's the word? If he's able to be social to the point where, he doesn't get taken out at the end, like he said, I think he also has the potential to win this game. But again, I think he has he could have a similar dynamic to Matthew in a way that if Matthew and Kristofer are two big social players, but they're not the super over the top, strong personalities. So I think they could have a really good run in this game and go very far if someone doesn't suspect them. But again, if Kristofer doesn't, I guess I don't know if manage is the right word, but sort of figure out how to propel himself to the end because he's taken out, because he's a social threat. He could go very far and just come up that short if people are too scared to sit with him at the end. But I think he has the potential to go very far.
I think the difference between Kristofer and Matthew is I think Kristofer's a lot more extroverted and a lot more OTT. And I think that Kristofer would be seen as the bigger target and taken out before. However, I think he does carry a lot of very similar qualities like Matthew. I think Kristofer makes it to the end. He gets cut right at fourth if he can't win a comp. I don't have him as a contender. I have him as like pretty much like that last right to the end, right that last last jury spot. He's gonna be one of those ones that I cannot wait to sit on his confessionals and just tell you guys all this crazy stuff. He's got so much personality. He's so fun. And for a cast that is so crazy, as we keep saying over and over, and wild, to have someone who's just fun it's gonna be a breath of fresh air. Because yeah, we're all gonna be here sipping that tea, watching these crazies go at it. But just to have that person, those few people that are just fun and energetic and not as cracked, but there to have a good time and entertain us, have a little bit of level-headedness, is going to be a breath of fresh air. And I really think that Kristofer is going to bring that to us. And he is going to have, I think, potentially one of the best confessionals of the season. Any other takes on Kristofer?
I love big personalities, so I'm excited to see Kristofer us to bring. I hope we go far. I'd rather see like big, exciting personalities than like thin, quieter players. So that's cool.
Jordan, you were going to say something?
Yeah, sorry, I've been in and out.
You're good.
But I really enjoy Kristofer. I think that he has a lot of potential in this cast. There's going to be a lot of bold people, but I think that he's going to be able to be someone that can tone down the boldness, which is something that a lot of people in this cast aren't going to be able to do. It's really going to come back to bite them in the ass. And I just think that he is someone to look out for. And that's why I drafted him. I really feel like he has one of the best shots out of the people in this cast.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I think it's gonna be. I think it's just. I think it's like very similar to Lana. Like, girls got it all to get to the end, but just right at the end, like you have that big target sign on your back, and you're just like, if you don't win that comp.
Yeah.
Love you, Lana. All right. If we don't have anything for Kristofer, we can move on to Chloe. All right, Chloe is from Northern Ireland. We do have quite a few international players outside of the USA, which is exciting. I just want to comment right now. I'm a sucker for a good accent, and Chloe's accent was everything. And
True.
I hope she just stays super long in the game, just so I can listen to those confessionals, because I love good accents. I love British TV. Like, just give me any accent, and I'm happy. Off tangent. She describes herself with one word as chaotic. She says, you're never sure what you'll get with her, and she makes quick, bad decisions. Her ideal ally is someone more villainous than her, so that it hides her villainous. She says that she's social. That's her strength out of the three. Her downfall is not being able to win challenges. And when voting for a winner, she votes for someone who's aware of their game, but she can be petty, she says. And she's also a last-minute decision maker. So what about Chloe from across the pond?
So, doing her interview was so, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was a lot, but it was so fast-paced. Like, I felt like the interview took, like, an hour, and I think it took, like, 10 minutes. It was just so much at once, and I was, like, what did I just watch? What just happened? Like, I like didn't even know how to like understand this person that I had just interviewed. Like, I wanted to ask Nicole like what she thought, and I didn't even like remember anything she said. It was just like a complete wildfire at me, and I was just like, I don't know. I think that she is going to be someone that, unfortunately, isn't very active. I'm not too familiar with how she plays games, but from the ones that I have seen her in, she's not the most active person. So, unfortunately, I don't think that she is going to do as well. But I think she's going to be a fun personality to have for the first couple rounds.
I would try to make Chloe my best friend and drag her to her. She's an actor. I would make a 4-person group of me, Rae Ann, Erica, and Chloe. Oh, a 5-girl group, and Jen Temple. All girls alliance.
We love to see it.
Oh, I love British people, so Chloe should stick around as long as possible.
I agree. I think she's gonna make it to late pre-jury. I don't see her being super active, and I don't think people talk about this enough. And I don't think it's like a huge barrier where like it's not possible. But like when there's a massive time difference when you're overseas, it makes a big difference when you're connecting with people. And I know Ireland and England, it's not as drastic as I've seen in some other countries. But it can make a difference with making connections and activity, which is important. But I can see her in a position where she can kind of like get by, because I think there's gonna be enough people blowing up their games within the first couple of weeks that people are like, Chloe's there, but she's not pissing me off. She's not blowing up the alliance. She's not playing a 50-50 idol on the wrong person. She's just there. So I think she could get to that late pre-jury, but she's not gonna. I hope for the best, but from watching the interview, I think it could be a little bit of a struggle to get that footing that is needed to get to the end of the game.
Yeah, I could see her like last just on her personality and like intro video alone. If she's British, especially, people are gonna be like, she's a woman. There's so few women in the cast, and like she's cool and like British. So let's not vote her out. But she'll go home in a situation where it's like the first 3 options have fallen through for whatever reason, and people just need like a last minute name to go with, and they'll be like, well, she's not here, so that's just the easy thing for everybody to do. Or she'll like get idled out accidentally or something like that. She'll just go because nobody's sticking their neck out for her. I hope not. I hope she plays.
We hope so too. Any other comments or statements about Chloe?
Yeah, I'm like, I love her as like a person, but I don't think like I would work with her in a game just because she does describe herself as chaotic. And again, kind of like what Lana said, I don't think she's really going to be anybody's first choice for a vote. But if she's being inactive and she's not like being social enough, I feel like she's someone that's always going to be like an option out there, but not like the biggest target. My concern is that with her being very chaotic, she might get involved in a lot of drama with all of these other emotional people that are in this cast. So I can see that being her downfall. If there is a lot of drama that goes on and she's the center of it, I feel like she might get like caught up in that, and that could be her downfall. But other than that, like if she can make those social connections, like obviously if you make those social connections, you can go far. But I feel like for her, it's going to be more important because of like just her personality in general. But I want to see her do well, especially, I mean, I always love to see women do well, but I want to see her specifically do well, because I don't know where I would put her right now on my ranking, just because like I don't know enough about like her gameplay, so I'm curious to see.
Definitely. Definitely, like we've said over and over, so much potential and fun possibilities with all of them. Moving to Julien from Iowa. His one word to describe himself was messy. He says he will actively do dumb things for the hell of it, like rocks or flipping. As VL watchers, we are excited for that. He says he's going to work with anyone, which, in my opinion, could be hard if you're willing to do rocks or flipping or things like that for the hell of it. He says his downfall is that he puts his hands into too many cookie jars. Strength is social game. He says that the reason why his downfall is that he's viewed as a threat, blindsided, and he can't win to secure safety. And when voting to win, he wants to see smart votes, not flashy, and a better overall game. So any tea or anything about Julien?
I mean, one of the words that I wrote down about him is I said that he's spontaneous, and especially because he could be like the chaotic, like great from a viewer standpoint that like loves to stir the pot and make drama and stuff like that. But I feel like that might rub some people the wrong way. But he did say that he is very social and like he works really hard on making those social connections. So if he can prove himself to be like a loyal ally and he knows where his weaknesses are, knows where his strengths are, because I think he said that he's been playing orgs for a long time. I think that if he actually works on his weaknesses, he can go far. But if he's just going to be like a spontaneous person, and it might rub people the wrong way, especially I think JG, like you said before, with most of this cast being very emotional driven, I think that he could get off on the wrong foot. I think also with first impressions, I feel like with him, a first impression might be very important as well.
Definitely. I have predicted that he's going to go early pre-jury. I think just because of the fact when you say that you're actively willing to do dumb things for the hell of it, it reminds me of I'll love to Sean Dyro, but it gives me Sean Dyro vibes, and I love Sean to death.
I love Sean.
But just gives me Sean vibes at times. Yeah, season 6. I think Julian's just gonna be super messy and just he's gonna like make an alliance and then blow it up because he wants to, and
just because for fun.
He's bored.
Yeah.
And that gets you voted out. So it would be fun. He will be so much fun to have for so much in this. If he is actually willing to like do dumb, stupid stuff like that, that is gonna be so fun to watch. Kind of like almost like, I don't want to say strategic like Dr. Will Kirby, but like chaotically evil like Will Kirby, doing the most outrageous things that you're like, what on earth? But I don't see it lasting long with this cast. Scott, you have anything about our good old pal Julien?
My thought with Julien, like my one sentence thesis for him is like he knows what a good game looks like and he doesn't want to play a good game. Like I think he's a smart player, but he's just like, I just want to do fun shit. And like I don't know. I know his name. I feel like I've seen him around the block. I don't know him personally. I think he's going to play messy, even if it's not in his best interest, like y'all said. So, yeah, in the VL, we will enjoy it, I guess. I don't know. We'll criticize it, but enjoy it. And yeah, good luck.
Okay. If there's nothing else for Julien, we will move on. I'm going to already say it. I think she's the queen of the VL. If you look at the draft, I think she's on all but like 1 or 2 drafts. And it's Miss Rae Ann from Oregon. Oh my goodness. She's actually probably the one that I'm the most familiar with. Actually, I've never meeting any of these people, but because of being friends with Nicole, I've heard of Rae Ann. She said her word to describe herself was stoned. And then she also then corrected and said loopy, which I just could not stop laughing when it was so hilarious. She said she's gotten a reputation of being Rae Ann. She says she can gather information easily and plant seeds. Strength is being social. By being social, it opens many strategic doors so that her strategic game can flourish. She gets powered out or can win comps to save herself. 50-50 coin could be in her favor here. Looks for the social game and how they could use the relationships to make strategic moves to win voting for a winner. And she's a last-minute decision maker. So I imagine we have lots of comments and things about our queen, Rae Ann.
Oh, God, Rae Ann. Rae Ann is one of my very bestest org friends. I'm so excited to watch her as a viewer. I've hosted her. I've played with her. I've been her ally. We've blindsided each other. I just love everything about Rae Ann. And I think that she is extremely self-aware as a player. I think that everything that she said about herself is spot on. She knows her strengths. She knows her weaknesses. I think she's incredibly charismatic. Like, it's so hard to dislike Rae Ann. Like, she just has such a magnetic, charming personality. Like, everybody just loves her. She's just like a ray of light. And I think loopy and stoned are like great words to describe her. Like, she's super goofy. She has an amazing sense of humor. She's so funny. Like, it's just she will be the social butterfly of the cast. She always is. Like, she cannot help herself. She's so crazy when it comes to orgs. And she will send like 75 messages in a 5-minute span and then be like, oh my God, like, why I'm not doing enough. I'm so far behind. Like, everybody is talking so much. Why aren't I in 8 alliances yet? Like, what is happening? Like, if she's not just like sending messages constantly all day long, she will like spiral out of control and be like, oh my God, everything's happening without me. But she will be the most social one in the cast at all times and talk the most in her prod chat. Like, she is the queen. I just worry for her because she has a big reputation coming into the game. So like, people really know her and they know like how loved she is, especially in like the Ascendance family. And she also won that first Ascend the Chaos game. So like, if people find all that shit out about her, she's just gonna have a huge target on her back, and like she'll know that coming into it, and I think she is fully aware of that already. So that's my only worry for her. But like, obviously, I'm be rooting for her. Would really love to see her win. She has never won a game. So love Rae Ann with all my heart.
Oh, I love Rae Ann. I just hosted her meme around the world, and she was so chaotic and crazy in that. She's just like such a funny person. Like, she would go into her chat every day and be like, "Oh my God, our alliance made another round with the host," and I was like always so confused, but it was so funny. She just like, I love her. Like, she's like chill but also chaotic at the same time, and I love that so much because I relate a lot. But like, I just love her, and I think that even though she does have a big reputation, I think that she is going to be able to get people that will really trust her, and that's going to benefit her a lot.
Yeah, I absolutely, I don't know Rae Ann personally, but I absolutely love her personality. She seems like an incredible human being that I want to be really close friends with. But I think with her big reputation and personality, I think I get the vibe from her that she will be able to overcome that, and people will see her authenticity and genuity, and people will be like, well, she may be a threat, but like, I really genuinely like her. People won't want to turn on her just because she is just that amazing person with that amazing personality. And like, I know she's somebody I would probably work with, and probably one of those people that I can like be on a call with for like hours, because I love those kinds of people. And yeah, I feel like you guys said it all, especially because I don't know her personally, but I think that she's gonna go very, very far in this game, and I think she's one of my she's not one of the picks on my draft, but she was very, very close to being on my draft, and I think out of all the women, I think she has a very good chance of being one of the last women standing in this game because of how much of a strong female she is, and I want her to do well, not just because she's a female, but I think she seems like an absolutely amazing person. So.
I totally agree with all of that. Like, she will go on hours and hours and hours on calls. She is so smart. I totally agree with you. Like, I think she will be able to overcome it because Rae Ann just can. I'm literally in love with Rae Ann. Like, Rae Ann can make you fall in love with her. She is so powerful, so genuine, so kind. Like, ugh, I'm just gushing. Sorry.
I will co-sign all of this. I literally don't know anyone in this cast, but I've at least talked to Rae Ann at least a couple times through like the murder mystery stuff I've played with her. So I've at least interacted with her. She seems amazing. I will play the annoying devil's advocate and say if there was a cast I'd be a little worried for her is like people who are not afraid of like just blowing shit up and like being like, oh wow, Rae Ann's amazing, we should vote her off. Like just and not even be afraid of like, oh wow, Rae Ann's actually very powerful, I shouldn't go against her, but like, might as well, maybe I will because fuck it. I don't know. I'm just trying to be a little voice of dissent because I also agree she's a winner pick. I did not draft her for my team because I'm a little worried about this cast with her. I think she could easily win, but I do think if there's any issue, it could be that this cast is just will do shit and like call her out for being so amazing, and she has a reputation, and people might know her because I think there are some like seasoned players here, so just something to look out for, I think.
Yeah,
Definitely.
the one thing.
Go ahead.
Sorry. The one thing I do want to add that I forgot to say is that she seems very, very self-aware about her game and like what her weaknesses are, which I love people who can like see that and know what their weaknesses are and like adapt to that. So I think those make for really, really strong players, and with her like strong but in a good way, like personality, I think with the addition of her being self-aware of what she needs to work on, I think that she has a very, very good shot of going very, very far in this game. I will be surprised if she doesn't go far, and I will be thoroughly upset.
I won't say a lot, but I will just say Lana captured almost all of my input very well. So I will say ditto to what Lana said. But I know, because I talk to Rae Ann daily, she's very worried coming into this game. She doesn't have high hopes. So I really do hope that she can at least, get to jury, because I feel like in her eyes, that's kind of a goal that she wants to meet. But I do think she's hungry for her first win. So she's going to go out fighting. But I'm worried for her because of that reputation. I do think it'll be her biggest hurdle that she'll have to overcome.
Definitely. And for me, there is something, a lot of these people are very fun. Like their interviews are fun and they're very engaging. Rae Ann was someone who like I wanted to like get on a plane and like go meet her and like go get drinks, go whatever in the middle of a pandemic. Like when I should not be doing that. Like the very few personalities that are like that, where they just really just you like want to meet this person, you want to hang out with this person, you want to be friends with this person. Rae Ann's my second contender. I think Rae Ann, being the fact that she's been so close to winning, being the fact that Ascendance is a unique format that isn't like other things, that combination is something where a player like Rae Ann can really flourish. And with the right combination, the right connections, and her personality and her social strength alone, and even like she seemed very strategic. Like I feel like she was almost downplaying a little bit her strategic in her interview a little bit. But I was just like, she is strategic. I am scared. If I play, I am scared now, girl. I think she very well, we could see her in a month in the final three very easily. And I think the VL would be very happy about that.
Oh, if Rae Ann goes,
She would.
VL is rioting. I will lead the charge, honestly. But yeah,
It There will be parties in the street when there shouldn't be.
Rae Ann, I would literally get on a plane for Rae Ann right now. But yeah, her strategic prowess is incredible too. So as long as the Goonies don't like band together and get a majority on her, you know what I mean? But I feel like she's smarter than everybody else in the cast. So I think she can I think she could run around all of these people, honestly.
And I echo what Scott says. I think really as long as the wrong person doesn't just say, fuck it, like I think she's fine. But again, it's Ascendance, and if one person just says it and one power,
it just feels like her time. Like she's been waiting for so long to apply. Like I've been begging her to play for so long, and now she finally is, and she like loves the theme. It just feels like her time.
There also seems like a lot of hunger, and I think that is a lot of things. That is a lot of it that some people don't realize is that like if you want to win, there has to be that desire. There has to be that you can't half-ass it. Like if you're half-assing it, you're not gonna. If you get to the end, you're not gonna win because the jury's not gonna respect it. Like, and I think she does have that passion and that desire to really take this thing, and we shall see in a month if that will happen.
Really
we
quick.
are. Oh, go ahead.
What I was hearing too is like Lana saying she is very smart and maybe as smart as the room, but she didn't say that. Like other people said that in their interviews. And I'm hearing she's nervous. She's humbled. She's like coming in aware. I think there's a lot of ingredients just from picking up on what y'all are saying to say she's coming in like with a very clear, focused mind and is not going to be like an arrogant player and is actually going to be very like reining herself in. So I'm so excited for her.
Yes, it'll be definitely a really, really fun player to watch. We are wrapping up. We only have a few left. Moving on to Brien from Pennsylvania, another person that I'm a little familiar with. Seeing him play some Tumblr games on that side of the world. He says that his word is awkward to describe himself. He says that he plays strategic games. He said poker and then a card game. He says he wants to work with someone who is very social. He says that his strength is strategic, which a lot of people said social. So I thought that was interesting that he was one of the few to say strategic. His downfall is that he can't convince people to save him, which is yikes. He says he votes for the best well-rounded game, and he is a planner. Thoughts on Brien from Pennsylvania?
Well, Jabbar has some. He's typing in the chat, so maybe he should say it for the
come
camera.
On. Spill the tea, Jabbar.
No,
Welcome, Jabbar.
I'm just here to listen.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Well, for those who aren't on the Skype call, Jabbar typed Brien strategic, no, Chile. Anyone else have comments?
Not
Chile.
It's a late night.
Child.
It's not child.
It's been an hour and 32 minutes. Okay, we give JG a break.
I love me and memes saying that at exactly the same time. I don't know. Brien is giving me first boot energy, and that's solely from his photo alone. I don't know. This is just based a complete snap judgment. I'm sorry, Brien. I'm sure you're a lovely person, but I'm making that my prediction this round. I think I said that about Kevin Falk last game.
Oh, so she's got to read.
Anyway, that's all.
I will say, there's a lot of videos. I watched them all, and I've watched this video. I was typing notes. I had thoughts, and everyone I got to him, I'm like, what? I don't remember anything I just really listened to. So this sounds so rude. Oh my gosh. I'm sure he's so amazing. But what raised a red flag for me saying, like, I told everyone they're idiots. They're letting someone go to the end. I said this is the obvious move, and no one listened to me. Like, you need social capital in Ascendance. And if you don't have social capital to say, like, this is the move, and people join me. If people aren't joining you, there's a reason why. So I'm a little scared for him. But I don't know. It sounds like he's excited to be here, and I think anyone who's not like popping off the pages right away could maybe hide in this cast a little bit if they need to. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Brien said in his interview that he was looking for like another like because he's not very social, so he's looking for a social person to sort of balance out his strategic, like, because I think he said strategic is his like most like, I don't know words today, but strategic is his strongest. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So there is definitely a lot of big personalities, big like strong social players on this cast. I just don't know if there's going to be someone. He's got to find someone that he meshes really, really well with, because I feel like a lot of these social people are going to gravitate towards the other social people rather than someone like him who is maybe under the radar, but maybe I'm not really sure how he's going to play, because I know with experience playing with people who do like competitive gaming, things like that, they are very strategic, but sometimes they don't try to hide it, which makes them a target very easily. So I don't know if that's the way he's going to play, but that's just from my experience.
Yeah, he has a lot of experience playing games. He's played a lot. And I know he can do very well, but he can also tank really bad. I have him going early jury just because I think with a cast like this, where there is so many chaotic people, someone who's a little bit more quieter like Brien with the strategic mindset that he has from playing those strategic games, that could come in handy. But again, then it's going to come to those ties, and I think time is going to run out. But I think being the fact that there's so many explosive personalities, so many people that are willing to just say fuck it and just do whatever the hell they want to do, I think people like Brien can skate by unless he's the victim of one of those people saying fuck it.
That's very true.
Yes. Any other thoughts on Brien? Okay. Moving on to Nolan from British Columbia. He said that his word to describe himself was bold. He says he's able to take a step back and realize it's just a game, and therefore that allows him to be ruthless. He wants to ally with someone who is open to ideas, someone who's able to bounce off of. He also said that he's a strategic player. That's his strength. His downfall is that he has a lot of villainous qualities, making himself likable is a downfall as well because of those villainous quality. And he votes for the best game. Thoughts on Nolan from British Columbia?
Also known as the land of Jodely, British Columbia. Mike King.
Woo.
Well, Jabbar said pre-jury, so we're just going to read all of Jabbar's comments. So
yes, we are.
Recorded on camera. My thought was, this is someone who's like, oh, I could remove emotion from the game. And I'm like, good for you, because I could never. But also, like, this is an emotional cast. So, like, you being like, oh, it was just a move. People are going to be like, fuck you. Like, there were a lot of people in this cast who said, like, I will be a better juror. I will, like, hold a grudge. And of course we have like alt insight and he doesn't, but I just don't think that's going to bode well for him, I guess. I also see him as a player who just like thinks through 16 moves and like picks the most complicated one. So I think sometimes just like scale it back, know when you need to make the move and know when you just like go along with the move. Like there's a balance, and I think he's going to need to find a balance if he wants to be successful.
Yeah, I agree with what you said about him being like, if he's like too strategic, then that could definitely be his downfall. I wrote in my review that like he seems like one of those people that's also like, I'm smarter than you, and he might underestimate like a lot of people. And again, I think when people do that, it sort of like ruins their game, because like if you underestimate people, it's like, well, that's when you get turned on, sort of thing, when you get too cocky, too arrogant, sort of thing. And I think if he is too strategic and he separates himself too much emotionally with a cast like this, it's not gonna go well. So if he can find a balance between like strategic and making social connections without rubbing too many people the wrong way, then he'll be fine. But I feel like with as many emotional firecrackers as this cast has, I think if he says one thing wrong to one person, I feel like that might get out to all the other people, and other people will be like, well, he said this to you, well, I don't agree with that, and then like become an easy target just because of like one comment.
I do think, because I remember his saying that he makes it far very often, but then he is cut right there. I think this is another situation where that does happen. I think being able to, even though this cast is going to be super emotional, I think being someone who's an outlier who can take that out, that could work to his benefit. And if he is able to be ruthless, that can be a benefit. I don't think it's going to win jury votes with this emotional cast, and potential for a very emotional jury is there this season. I think it's gonna be a very hard path, but I think being the fact that he has that experience and he has, I guess, what you could call a system for him that works, where he can get there. I just, if he's not likable, I don't think people are gonna take him unless they see him as a goat. And I don't see how, if he plays the way that he talks about in his interview, that there's going to be a way for him to secure a win, unless the jury is not bitter. But we've heard many of them say that they will vote bitter and vote petty and vote emotional. So I think that's out of the window right now for this cast. Any other thoughts on Nolan? Okay. Moving on to another queen. There's been a lot of hype for her. I'm still not too familiar, but I have heard many good things. Jen Temple from Ontario. She used a word to describe herself as weak, which I thought was really funny. Because I don't think that's necessarily true, but I mean, hey, go for her. I think it was funny. I didn't write this down, but on the top of my head, I loved the question where it was said, "What makes you stand out?" And her response was, "I'm fucking Jen Temple." Like, okay, like I don't even know that. I don't know her at all, but I was like, I'm scared. And she even said that people fear of me. So I was like, oh damn. If I play a game, I know now. She says that her downfall is that she makes herself an easy and big target as she goes balls to the wall. She votes for someone who makes game moves, and she's a planner. So let's talk about Queen Jen Temple.
Yeah, I mean, I literally wrote down in my review, I literally don't know her either, but I literally wrote down that I think one of the most iconic things I've ever heard in any interview is her saying, "I'm Jen motherfucking Temple." Like, that's, I wish I had the confidence just to do that in any setting, you know? Like, I wish I could be that person. But I really, really hope she does well, because I think like her and Rae Ann are like two are the stronger females that we've talked about so far, and I think if they play their cards right, that they can go far as well. I know, like Jen mentioned, with a few other people mentioned this as well, but I know Jen mentioned that her ideal ally would be somebody who like is good where she lacks, and I think that's a good thing to find. And if she can find the right person who isn't like intimidated by her and isn't scared by her, and she can make a real connection and prove that she's loyal, I think she can go very far with that person or multiple people depending on the situation. But if she is seen as an easy target because of how strong she is early, again, like we've been saying, if the crackheads on the cast are like, let's get her out, like I feel like that could be her downfall just because of the nature of all the other people on the cast.
Jen Temple's a fucking queen. I just played with her, and she's so good. She's seriously so good. She definitely comes on really strong. She's so funny. She's like always chain smoking in her videos and like screaming on her couch, and she has kids and a husband. Like she's just fucking hysterical, and her husband plays orgs too. Like she's been around the block. They've been playing orgs together for a while. And what I love about Jen Temple is she will just tell it like it is. She's really not a big bullshitter. She's like pretty straightforward. I don't actually think that people will be intimidated by her at first, because she comes off very mild in chats, I'll say. Like in the main chat, I feel like she'll just be like kind of friendly, like sort of one-liners, and people might look at her as kind of like, oh, she's like the harmless, older person that's here. But then once you get on a call with her, her personality really comes out. And then if you do her wrong, her personality really comes out. But I think she'll be coming into this game with a totally clean slate. So I don't think that will happen to her. And also, she's like secretly crazy good at comps. Like, she is really good at comps. So she has the potential to win a lot and like have some control in the game. So I would love to see that happen. I think Rae Ann will work with her, which will be pretty huge. They were allies in Perception with me. So I think that they will continue to work together and be really strong together. I hope so, at least.
Yeah. Can we call out how she said she's weak, but then she's like a competition beast? I'm like, yes.
That's what I was
Don't
gonna
doubt
say.
yourself. Do not doubt yourself. Because she's like, oh, I saved my husband 16 times with a veto. I'm like, you go,
Yes!
Jen Temple. Yes, I don't know her, but one thing I will say that she said that would scare me as a player is she's like, I'm so perceptive. I can like hear one thing and I know you're lying. But then she said, I think she said like, I don't give a lot of information. So there's someone who's kind of like quiet and has like really good reads, but isn't sharing why they have a good read. I'd be like, oh, I'm afraid of you, but more like I don't want to piss you off. So like let me be your ally and maybe you be the shield. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for her. She's has great energy. Like I love the confidence. Yeah. So I don't know how that'll fare like placement wise, but yeah, excited to see her as a viewer.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
You know Jen Temple's playing the game. She's gonna play the game before the game plays her. Like she is going to be that person in this season that everybody is watching in this viewers lounge. She is going to bring entertainment. Like her confessionals are probably going to be some of the best in the season. She's going to have some of the best calls, which I'm excited for. Like I am so excited for Jen to play this game. You don't even know. Like even just doing like her comps is going to be so fucking funny. I hosted like every single leg of hers in Meme Around the World, pretty much. Like, at one point, she pulls out like a balloon maker, starts making a bunch of noise. She's like screaming at her partner to do this pipe maze. Like, she is so fucking iconic. Like, I am so excited. Like, I don't even think like words can describe how excited I am for Jen Temple to win Ascendance. Like, she is winning.
She's so fucking hilarious.
So basically, what we're saying is if Jen or Rae Ann get voted out, we're all rioting and quitting. That's what I'm hearing because I'm here for it. I also wanted to bring up the point that Scott brought up that like she literally described herself as weak, and then she's like, "Well, I've won all these competitions and I'm a really good competitor, but my arthritis slows me down." I'm like, "Girl, what are you talking about?" Like I literally like, oh, she's so incredible. I want to meet her in person one day. She's phenomenal. I am rooting for her all the way.
You guys hyped me up. Like I'm ready. I'm ready to watch confessionals. I'm ready to watch some calls. Like I think she's gonna have a really good run. I do think she is gonna be a physical threat. I think she's gonna win quite a few comps really early. Because I do think this cast is one of the weakness of this cast overall is that they don't seem to be, at least from what they're telling us, to be super challenge threatening. Like there's a lot of like I think like 98% of them are social, 2% of them are like strategic, and 1% physical. So I think she could really dominate early. But I think that's going to put her in a position where she's going to be a early jury target and an early target. Like the minute she loses, she's going to be taken out. They're going to see her as a big threat. They're going to see her as a big personality. She's probably going to have some social capital. So being the fact that you've won comps, you've made moves because of the fact you've won comps, you set the teams up, and you're going to have some sort of social capital to some degree. She's going to have to win out. And I've seen that happen. But that's hard to do. And from what I've hearing from her, she seems to be a legend who maybe could pull that off. But with a season based off of luck, based off of Vegas, who knows? Who really knows?
That was my concern as well. Is like in Ascendance, people will quickly learn when you win captain, you're not just captain, you are also getting more power. And she said, I don't throw competitions, I will gun for everything. So like that could raise her threat. And I know when I was doing this, I was like, oh, maybe I'll compare everyone to like a season 8 player, but my season, I'm sorry, we were much too rational for this group. But I will say Jen reminds me a little bit of Amanda from our season, who like maybe she was the oldest player, but she was a fucking beast in competitions, but that raised her threat profile. And everyone's like, she has multiple powers right now. Like she's a big personality. She's going to keep gunning. She's great at challenges. So like that was not great for her. So, I mean, a much different cast, so it might fare very differently. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, excited for her. Also, like, wow, Canada is representing this season.
For real. We have a lot of Canada. Yeah. I joked about it and said, get ready for that Canadian alliance. You never know. All right, moving on. Just a few, 3 more to go. We have Tylor. Yeah, that's where we are. Tylor from Alberta, so Canada again. He says that his word is emotional, but more specifically outspoken. He says that he stirs the pots. His strength is being social. His downfall is his mouth. And he votes loyal when voting for a winner first, but he also really respects a cutthroat game. He's one of the few that did say that he's a last-minute decision maker. So what are we thinking about Tylor?
I'm very I don't know how Tylor is going to do. Like, I don't know where I would place him, because he said that something in his interview about he likes to stir the pot and be dramatic, but he can do it in a way that doesn't hurt his game and hurts other people's games. And I'm not sure how he does that, but I'm kind of curious to see, because he seems to be a very big person that likes to start drama and likes to start tea, which again I feel like a lot of people on this season are going to do regardless. So I'm curious to see if he can get involved in that drama but not be the center of attention of it. And because if he's involved in drama but no one's really seeing that he's involved, he can go far and then use that towards the end and be like, well, I did all of this stuff and I know I was involved, but I still made it here over all these people. So I feel like if he can control that and push his strategy forward and be less emotional, although I know he said he is emotional, I feel like he can do well if he plays. I don't think he's going to play under the radar, but if he's playing a less over the top game compared to some other people who are playing over the top games, I think he can do fairly well. But right now I have no idea how he's going to play.
So I still don't fully understand what 10 gauged is, because I think whenever I bring it up in an org, people deflect immediately and say, oh, it's that site no one talks about. But apparently he's a 10 gauged legend or something. So I don't know. I guess that fares he's a very social, strategic player. I would say I feel like he might get frustrated with this cast in some ways. For some reason, he reminds me of a player who's going to have a spreadsheet and count numbers and plan everything. And other people aren't going to be down for that level of let's put the pebbles in the sand and see who falls where. I think other people would be I want them out. I'm going for that, and that might frustrate him a bit because he seems very I get big game bot energy from him. So we'll see. A little bit emotional, but kind of game body. So he might not gel with a more off the cuff cast, but I don't know. We'll see. I think if he is this 10 gauged person that I think someone said, then maybe he is used to a little bit of drama and a little bit of chaos.
Yeah, I have him going early pre-jury. I think it feels like he's not gonna mesh well with this cast for some reason. That's just the vibe I get. It's hard for me to explain, and I don't know how I feel that or why I feel that. Definitely stirring the pot. That's the you don't want to do that. If anything in Ascendance, you want to lay low. You want to build those relationships, and you want to wait till the last second possibility to make a move. You don't want to do anything within the first couple of rounds to at least after the third, fourth. He just, I think, has definitely that potential to say something that's gonna sink his game right off the bat within that first round or two. And again, as we keep saying over and over, this is an emotional cast. People are gonna be petty. People are gonna be bitter. It's gonna be cutthroat. These people are gonna be crazy. And if he says the wrong thing to the wrong person, he's gonna be pre-jury. He could be fun. He did seem a little bit. He says that he was outspoken, but during the interview, he seemed definitely a little reserved, which could be just because like interviews sometimes could be a little bit awkward sometimes. But he could be interesting to see what he ends up doing in this game if he is to last a little bit longer than the early stages of the game. All right, moving on to Josh from California. His word for him was that he was calculating. He hasn't done many orgs, so he's kind of a fresh face. He has a laid-back personality. His ally, when he's looking for someone, he wants a mutual number one. So he wants to be their number one and them to be their number one. And having played my first season of Sentence that way, it is definitely really helpful having that mutual number one. It really, really helps and goes a long way. Let's see. He says that mostly he's physical, which I think he was like one of the few, if only I think besides Jen, that said that. And then he says he votes for an honest, straightforward game, an overall game. And he also says he's a planner. What are our thoughts about Josh?
Reminded me of Matthew and like someone I would want to get on a call with and talk strategy with. I could see him vibing with Matthew. I could see him vibing with Rae Ann. I could see him vibing with people who are a bit more like game level-headedness. I think he's going to be a bit more reserved than some of those personalities, which could be good or could be challenging. So I think I brought this up with someone else, someone who I think I was Alex, could win the game, could also go out earlier. So I think he has the potential to take the game, but I also think he could maybe go like be lost in the mix. So I'm very net positive on him because I think he's very rational and seems very social and chill. But who knows how that's going to fare with this group? So we'll see.
Yeah, I get the vibe from his personality that he's someone who either like doesn't talk a lot on big calls or he's just not on big calls a lot, but like when those one-on-one calls, I feel like that's what's going to be beneficial for him. And if he can like build those relationships and those loyalties within one-on-one calls, I think people are really, really going to like him, especially because he's not one of those over-the-top people. I think more of his like mellow personality, like Scott said, I feel like it could benefit him or hurt him because this cast is so chaotic. I feel like he needs to find the right people to work with. Otherwise, like if he doesn't find like that one like ride or die kind of person, he might be screwed because I feel like a lot of these people are going to be really, really social out of the gate. And if he's not like that, then that might not be the best, like it might not be like the best game move for him.
Yeah, I think I was really impressed when I was doing his interview and was like really engaged in that conversation. He just seemed very calculated, very cool, calm, and collected. He's my final contender that I really think with the right circumstances, barring any unexpected powers or twists, I see that he can find himself in a really good group where he's like that level headedness of that group, and he's gonna ride that wave to the end. And if he can be in the fact that it seems like he's not going to piss people off, and with this emotional cast, that could be enough to win, even if he's not doing crazy flashy moves. But if he's at least part of a group, he's part of doing something, and he's being social, that could pay off, and I think could really for someone versus like Matthew or even Kristofer, like those very exuberant personalities. Their playstyle is very similar to his, but they're very like extrovert, very OTT. He's a lot more reserved and a lot more behind the scenes, and I think that he could be the one. He could play the cards and be like, I was the puppet master, and with the right circumstances, he's definitely the winner this season. Any other final thoughts on Josh before we get to our final player of the season?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Hi,
you, Nicole.
Good.
Queen Nicole, right at the
Yeah.
end. We love her.
Period.
Final player, ow.
What was that?
I didn't get to join until the final player. That's it.
We have one more. We'll get your thoughts.
You got one more.
We'll ask you. We'll ask you. All right. So as we wrap up here, we do have finally Erica. She says that. Oh wait, I have her state here. Give me 1 second. I did not write her state down. The last one, California. All right. So Erica from California. She used the word affectionate. She says that she's willing to go out for blood. Seemed very aggressive almost. She says her strength is social. She's, again, will vote for the best player at the end. And she's also a last minute decision maker. So how are we feeling about our final Ascendance player, Erica?
Erica, my friend from college. So I actually got Erica into orgs because I knew she was a huge Survivor fan. And so last season I brought you Steve. This season I got you Erica. You're welcome. Erica is amazing. Erica has an incredible personality. She's so genuine, so kind, sweet, intelligent, empathetic, like really, really easy to connect to. She's just like a good person. She's got a really dry sense of humor. She's just like so kind. She'd never hurt a fly. But she's also super competitive. I think Erica is a contender for sure. Her very first game was iSurvivor, and she got 3rd place. She actually got cut by Jabbar, Jabbar gave her 3rd, and he won. Yeah. But for Erica to get 3rd on her first game and to like go that far and to have someone like Jabbar taking you out because they think that you're a threat and that they can't beat you at the end, like that's pretty crazy. She had a really huge underdog edit in her season, so she like didn't realize that you needed to get on calls with people at first because it was her first game. So once she started getting on calls, she like totally came out of the woodwork and blossomed and found herself with so much power. So I think that now that she has a better grasp on what exactly she needs to do to get far ahead in the game, I think she'll come back like even more hungry, even more strategy. I think she knows the effort that it takes now, and I see her really turning it out and making good bonds and getting in with the right people, and I think she can win a few comps here and there. I love her dearly, and I hope she does really well.
Well, I guess I'm excited to say Erica's my winner pick. So very happy for her. First of all, I'm going to say she made me like proud to be a Ascendance alumni because she's like, this is such an amazing org. What a big name. I'm so excited to be here. I was just like, oh, okay. I'm honored that I played this game. Like, so first, just like, I love her enthusiasm. I loved her reflectiveness. Like, I feel like she's someone who's like, this is my 3rd game. I'm learned from every single game. And to be learning from a game where you finish 3rd and not be like, oh, fuck, I just lost. But like, to still be like, no, here's what I can do better. She comes in just like hungry for a win. And like, you mentioned this, JG, like you have to come in hungry for a win if you want to do well. And she's going to do that. She'll put in the time. I think she has the personality to win. I think she has the instincts to win. So I'm going to keep hyping her up because I think this could be her season. And I think she could do well in this cast because her energies could be up here, but I also feel like her mental game could still be balanced and even. So her and Kristofer, I feel like actually give me very similar vibes of like high energy, but rational player, social threat. So I think they were my top 2 picks for winning. So
I really, really love Erica. She seems like someone who would be like my best friend outside of the game. I would love to work with her in a game, although I know she said her ideal ally would be someone who's good at comps, which I am not. So I don't know how well we would fare together in a game, but I would absolutely love to see her do well, especially because she came third in her first orc ever. That's absolutely incredible. She is hungry for that win, and I feel like I kind of resonate with that because I've been so close multiple times as well, and it's just like the more it happens, the more you're like, okay, now I really, really want it. And I think with that mindset coming into it, and like she knows like what she has to do, she's like willing to do it. She's willing to like take those extra steps that some people might not take just to win this game. And I really, really want to see her do well. Also because I think all the females this season are extremely strong, and they need to do better than last season. So we need strong females, and I think a lot of them are very, very strong contenders to win this game, especially Erica. And I want to see her do what's necessary, cut people when she needs to. I want to see either a very, very strong storyline or even an underdog storyline where people won't expect her to be that strong player. But either way, I want to see her do extremely well.
Also, Erica is prepared. Oh, I'm sorry, JG.
No, go ahead.
Erica's prepared for Ascendance because when I was introducing her to orgs, I had only played really Ascendance at that point, so I showed her the YouTube page, and she watched every single video. I'm not joking, you guys. She has watched hours and hours and hours and hours of Ascendance on YouTube.
Queen.
So like she's not going to expect the twist this season, so that's pretty cool that like she won't know everything that's going to be happening, but she's very familiar with the format. Like she's very familiar with the series and people that have played, and she's familiar with prod, and I just think she's like really excited, and like I think she will just gravitate towards the right people and like just dominate the season. I would like my top two winner picks are Erica and Rae Ann for sure.
We love that. You guys have sold me on her. Going into this personally, because like I loved her interview. Like I was like, yes, like cheerleader, let's go. Like I want you to slay. I'm always so hesitant though. Like I'm always so cautious because like those are sometimes the players that get robbed. Those are the players that just miss right out. I have her like ranked at late pre-jury, but I hearing you guys go on about her, I see that potential and I see that. But again, with such a cast full of crackheads and already, yes. you'll if you watch the playback, you'll see the amount of times we said that. There should be a ding counter. But I think just when there's so many bright stars, there's gonna be some few casualties along the way, and there's gonna be some robbed goddesses, and there's gonna be some robbed queens. We've seen it. Ascendance produces some of the most tragic moments, more dramatic than Big Brother and Survivor. Like, and I just feel that, unfortunately, my vibe is telling me that's for Erica. I don't want that. I don't want to speak that into existence. I want the queen to slay. Like, we want to woman finale. Like, that'd be amazing. But that's the vibes. But I love hearing your guys' take, and I'm even more excited now for that.
Although I did not draft her, I do think she has one of the strongest potentials of the women. Just because she is unknown, there are going to be people that are going to want to pull her in. They're going to want to sheep her, and that might play well to her. The only problem is, I literally, and I said this in my draft post, I don't think anyone is a sure thing in this season. There are too many unpredictable players. Anyone could be blindsided at any moment. And the other thing, and I'll briefly go over just some thoughts I have in general, but I think because she wants it too much, she may, to use, I guess, a term from the game, she might go all in too soon. She might she might just get a little paranoid and play a little too recklessly or too safe. It could go either way. She's probably one of my favorite people in the cast. I'm really hoping that she goes far. I don't want her to beat Rae Ann. I want this to be Rae Ann's game. Rae Ann has never played a non-nominee style game. Even though I have her as my top, I just did that because I love her and I want her to know that I want her to win so much. But I do think that Rae Ann is overly paranoid in general in every game she plays, and this is the first time her and Alexander are both in my top because they are the only extremely active prod chats right now. Rae Ann's is by far the most active, but she has already said, I'm going to be paranoid, and she is always paranoid anyway. And to be in a position where she could go home any round that she's not safe, I do think that she also might fall victim to going out early, which is not something Rae Ann usually does. But I think she might get paranoid and might shoot herself in the foot. I really hope that doesn't happen because she's my top draft pick. I picked Alexander again because he's very active in his prod chat. He definitely will be the kind of person, in my opinion, that can find a niche with everybody. I think he is like Duke, but more I'm not going to say the word I was going to say. I think that more people will gravitate toward him than they do Duke. I think that Duke does somewhat turn some people off because he's reserved, and Alexander is not reserved at all. And he's the kind of personality that I think he'll find a common denominator with everyone. I think potentially people might catch on to that. There's so many crackheads. Warren's going to tell everybody everything. So if people start connecting the dots, that might hurt him. I picked Nolan only because Nolan's done quite a few live games. So he does have that IRL experience of having to manipulate and think on your feet. And I think that will benefit him in Ascendance because it plays strongly to people who can make plan upon plan upon plan with a backup plan. So those are the people I chose. I'm trying to think if anybody else stands out. I think Julien's going to be a train wreck. I think Warren's going to be a train wreck. And I mean that in the most delightful way. We cast them because we think it's going to be extremely fun. I think they're going to keep the game going. And in a game where our theme is betting and taking risks, I think this is the season that fits their personality. Who else do we have that? I think Chloe is also going to be. I'm real interested to see what she brings to the game. She could go out very early, like she did in a recent game. But I think being one of the few girls, I think she might make it a little bit farther. Is there anybody else that strikes me this season? Oh, Jack. I have really high hopes for Jack. I loved his interview last year. He was he almost made it in the season. He's quirky. He's personable. He's smart. I think that he needs to work on a social game from the way he's saying. I think he focuses on strategy and he needs to back that up with social game. So I'm really, really pulling for him this season. I'm probably forgetting people that I probably am impressed by.
What about Jen Temple? We talked a lot about her.
I don't know her at all.
Oh.
Literally never heard of her. Know nothing about her. Did not see her interview because she interviewed pretty late. So I just watched the first piece of it. So I don't know anything about her, but she's probably, I would guess, like a Sherry McPherson or someone like that comes in, or like a Susan Camosa, I'm guessing, that just can come in and kind of just ride to jury easily. Maybe I memed around the world with her, but that was a low effort game. Girl, I did not talk to anyone outside that main chat.
But our
Except
alliance,
the alliance that made Final Four together. I'm sure she's great, but I don't know her org history at all. But
Gotcha.
Based on the following in here and the people that are rooting for her, I feel like she might have an easy slide to jury. But with the crackheads in this game, I don't know.
she's a
Yeah.
queen.
Anybody else I'm missing that I should speak on just because I flopped and didn't know it was
the big ones that we talked about or went long on about pretty much. You didn't really hit on I think two people that we really were talking high about was Matthew and Kristofer.
Matthew, I'm very impressed. I'm really impressed by the effort he put into his materials. He was really well spoken. I am a little worried just based on some of the things he says, that maybe the strategy might not be there to back it up. So I think a lot might depend on who he aligns with, and where he's getting that information. Kristofer, I forgot he's playing. I love him. I just played Slade's game with him. He's very sweet. He's very personable. He did really great in the filmed confessionals we did. His social activity level was lacking. It was a Facebook game. I'm not for sure if he knows that Skype games are as socially intense as they are. So I'm reserving judgment on him until I see the first round. Because if he plays like he did in Slade's game, which is comes around before the vote and touches base, that's not going to work in Ascendance. So super personable guy. I think people will love him. I don't know if he'll be active enough in what this game requires.
All right.
And we do have some newbies, and I'm excited to see them. I always cry a little bit when a newbie's first game is Ascendance. But hey, trial by fire.
We talked about that too, actually, about how it could it could be a good thing because of not knowing, when previous orc players, they're so used to Survivor and Big Brother. If you're a new player who's not played those, like a format like Ascendance could be really good for you.
I do think it's good for future games. I think it will definitely help them in future games. I'm not for sure how they'll fare in the series, mainly because of the cast that's built around them. Because This is going to be a very chaotic, it's already a chaotic game and format, but to add the chaotic characters that we have this season, and even when I say chaotic, I don't mean that in a negative way. I more mean that the game is going to be so fluid because these are players that will make last minute decisions. Mm-hmm. They will rock the boat just to rock the boat. Yes. They will go big or go home and be fine with that. So I already have Warren messaging me saying, I will take no prisoners here. Everyone is an enemy. I will bathe in their blood. I will win this game. So we will see.
Yeah. One thing we did hit on as we talked, we realized that the cast, we kind of steered away from chaotic. The cast is very emotional. Like the cast, a lot of them said that they're gonna be petty, they're emotional, they're gonna be bitter, they're gonna play off of that. That's gonna be what's gonna drive this. And I think that is where this chaos is gonna thrive, is based off the emotion. When people are going crazy with these twists and the unpredictability, it's gonna create this bubble that's gonna just eventually pop, and it's gonna be so good to watch for all of us.
JG, did you explain to them about the vote steal, etc., or the vote gambling?
Papa did that in the beginning.
Okay, great. I think that's going to add another element, because I think because most of these people are emotional and impulse players, that we're going to see a lot of gambling of votes early on, and that could inadvertently create some blindsides, just because the votes would be there, but too many gambles happened and the wrong person goes home. So I think the first early rounds, it's anybody's guess on what happens.
Oh, for real. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We've been doing this for a long 2 hours. I've held y'all hostage, but I do appreciate y'all. Before we do go, any final thoughts as a whole about the cast, about the season, your hopes, anything like that?
Good job with casting, guys. We're excited. Try to be super active in the pod chat or the VL.
I will say we might start tapping some more production members. I did not realize some of the connections in the cast we made this season. I don't know if it would have changed a whole lot of our casting. Again, we definitely would have cast the girls regardless. I am still crying that 4 women bailed on didn't even respond to their interview requests, but it wouldn't have probably changed much, but I am a little anxious that there's more pre-existing connections than usual. But it sounds like some of them are negative connections as well. So hoping that evens it out.
That always sucks when you find that out after the fact. It's like, well, we would have done it differently had we known, but we didn't know. So what can you do?
Yeah, I think the cast overall is absolutely incredible. Like, there's so many people that I want to root for. So many people I think are going to do well or crash and burn. And some of those people are the same people. Some people I think will do either really well or really bad. And I want to see all these storylines unfold and how everybody interacts with each other. Like, I'm curious to see who works with who and like just the dynamic of the season overall, because there is so many strong, big personalities in contrast to some of the more like reserved people. And I'm very, very curious to see how this season plays out. I think it's going to be a phenomenal season regardless, just because of the casting.
Yeah, I think this is going to be. I think it has potential to be one of the most special seasons of Ascendance. I think it's going to have a lot of great storylines. I think that with the fact that a lot of these players are characters and have so many different backgrounds and backstories, it can really create some really interesting storylines. And I think, we love the strategic element of this game, but we also like there is a storyline that comes with it. And I think that these it's going to be really fun to watch. It's going to be dramatic as hell. I think it's going to be very unpredictable. I think it's going to be the most unpredictable season that we've seen. With the 50-50 idols and just the stealing and all that stuff involved. I think it's just this season. We're going to Vegas. We're going all in, and I really hope that this cast. They've impressed a lot of us going in, and I hope that they deliver. We're rooting for you guys, and if there's nothing else from anybody else, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the record.